Hi there. My name is Papa Pete, and I want to invite you to listen to Aesop's Fables with me. Aesop was a Greek fable writer and storyteller who lived more than 2,500 years ago. That's a long time, and we still like to listen to his fables today. So join me now as I read these Fables by Aesop. Here's a story enjoyed by children throughout the world. Children just like you. So now let's listen to the story of The Lion and the Mouse, a fable by Aesop. Deep in the forest one lazy summer afternoon, a mighty lion was sleeping in his den. As he slept, a hungry mouse looking for food ran right across his face. Now awake from his comfortable nap, the lion trapped the little mouse under his enormous paw. "How dare you disturb my sleep?" the lion growled. "Oh, great lion," the little mouse said, trembling in fear, "please spare my life. If you let me go, I promise that someday I will repay your kindness." The lion laughed at the idea. "You, a tiny mouse, help me?" But impressed by the mouse's courage, he lifted his paw and let him go. "I doubt I would ever need your help," the lion said. "Now, run along, little mouse." Only a few days after that, the mighty lion found himself caught in a trap with ropes wrapped around him so tightly that he couldn't even move. His roars of frustration and anger echoed through the forest. Hearing the roars, the mouse ran quickly to where the lion was. Seeing that the mighty lion was in trouble, and remembering the kindness that the lion had shown to him, the little mouse didn't even hesitate. He ran right up to the trapped lion and said, "Hold still!" And then he began gnawing at the ropes with his teeth. Bite by bite, he chewed through the thick ropes, and before long, the mighty lion was free. "You laughed when I said I would repay you," said the mouse. "Now you see that even a mouse can help a lion." The lion looked at the tiny mouse in amazement. "You've saved my life," he said gratefully. "I never imagined that someone as small as you could help me, a mighty lion. But now it has happened. Thank you, my little friend. Thank you." The moral of this story is, an act of kindness is never wasted, and even the smallest among us can make a big difference. Now let's listen to Aesop's fable about the tortoise and the hare. One day, a hare was showing off to the animals of the forest. He boasted, "I can run faster than any of you. Nobody can beat me." The hare even made fun of the tortoise for being so slow. "With those short legs and heavy shell, how can you even move?" jeered the hare. The tortoise, unfazed by the hare's taunts, replied calmly, "I may be slow, but I think I can beat you in a race." The hare couldn't believe what he just heard. "You beat me? That's absurd." "But I mean it," the tortoise said. "Let's have a race." "Okay," the hare retorted. "If you insist, then let's race." So the race was on, and all the animals agreed that the fox would set the course and be the judge, with the race ending by the big oak tree about 2 miles down the road. At the word "go," the race began, and the boastful hare darted ahead lickety-split, leaving the tortoise far behind. In half a minute, the hare was almost out of sight. He looked back. The tortoise had only moved a couple of feet. Confident of an easy victory, the hare decided to rest under some shady trees. "I've got plenty of time to take a nap," the hare said to himself with a grin. So he laid down and soon was fast asleep. Meanwhile, the tortoise kept moving steadily on, step by step, never stopping. After a while, the hare woke up with a start. He looked down the road behind him. There was no tortoise there. Then he looked ahead, and there was the tortoise, almost to the finish line. The hare laid his ears back like hares do when they run fast, and dashed towards the finish line as quickly as he could. But it was too late. By the time the hare got to the finish line, the tortoise had already crossed it, and he now lay quietly under the big oak tree. So the tortoise had won the race, leaving the hare humbled and stunned. The moral of this story is, slow and steady is better than fast and careless. Here's another fable by Aesop that is enjoyed by children all over the world. Children just like you. So let's listen to the story of Hercules and the farmer. One day a farmer was driving his wagon along a country road that was really muddy after a heavy rain. His horses could hardly drag the wagon through the mud, with it finally coming to a complete stop, totally stuck. Climbing down onto the muddy road, the farmer stood beside the wagon, just angrily looking at it, making no effort at all to get it out. He just cursed his horses, cursed his wagon, cursed the rain, cursed the mud, and cursed his bad luck. Then he angrily called out to Hercules to come help him. Then, it has been said, Hercules really did appear to him, saying, "Do you think you can make the wagon move by simply cursing your luck and then complaining about it? I will not help you unless you make some effort to help yourself. Now, kindly urge your horses on and put your shoulder into it, pushing the wagon forward." So the farmer did as Hercules said. He stopped cursing his horses, his wagon, the rain, the mud, and his bad luck, and kindly urged on his horses. Then he put his shoulder into pushing the wagon forward. As the farmer kept doing this, it slowly began to move, and he soon was happily sitting up in his wagon again, rolling along with a good lesson learned. The moral of this story is, heaven helps those who help themselves. Now let's listen to this fable by Aesop about the fox, the goat, and the well. One day, a fox accidentally fell into a deep well and found himself trapped, unable to escape. Not long after, a thirsty goat came by and noticed the fox in the well. Curious, the goat asked, "Is the water good down there?" The fox, eager to have company, replied enthusiastically, "Good? It's the finest water I've ever tasted. You should come down and try it for yourself." The goat, only thinking about his thirst, immediately jumped into the well without any hesitation. After drinking his fill, the goat realized he had no way to climb out of the well. The fox, always the clever one, said, "I have an idea. Stand on your hind legs and place your front legs against the side of the well. Then I'll climb onto your back, step onto your horns, and get out. Once I'm out, I'll help you get out too." The goat, eager to be out of the well too, did as the fox suggested. Then the fox climbed up onto the goat's back and quickly jumped out of the well, leaving the goat still down in the well. The goat called after him, reminding the fox of his promise to help him. The sly fox stopped as he walked away, casually replying to the goat, "If you had as much sense as you have hair in your beard, you would have thought carefully before jumping down there without knowing how to get out." The moral of this story is, think carefully before acting on anything. Don't leap into a situation without considering the consequences. Here's another Aesop's fable with a very important lesson for both you and me. So listen closely to the story of the farmer, his son, and the donkey. One day, a long time ago, a farmer and his son were on their way to market with an old donkey that they planned to sell. They walked him very slowly, for they thought they would have a better chance to sell him if they kept him in good condition. As they walked along the highway, some travelers began laughing loudly at them. "What foolishness," cried one, "to walk when they might as well ride." Well, the farmer did not like to be laughed at, so he told his son to climb up and ride. They had gone a little farther along the road when they came upon 3 men. "So what do we have here?" they said. "Respect old age, young man. You should walk and let your father ride." Though the farmer was not tired, he had the boy get down, and then he climbed up to ride, just to please the 3 men. After this, they came on some women carrying baskets loaded with vegetables to sell at the market. "Look at that old man," exclaimed one of them. "He sits up on the donkey while that poor boy has to walk." The farmer felt a bit annoyed, but to be agreeable, he told his son to climb up behind him on the donkey. They had no sooner started out again when some other people started making comments about the donkey's situation. "What a sad thing," said one, "to load up a poor animal like that. They look more able to carry the donkey than for the donkey to carry them." The farmer and his son then quickly scrambled down from the donkey's back, and a short time later everyone was again laughing loudly as the two came along carrying the donkey hanging from a pole. A crowd of people gathered to get a better look at such an odd sight. The donkey didn't mind being carried on the pole that way, but so many people were laughing and shouting at him that he got mad, and he began to kick and to bray. It happened that as the donkey was kicking away, they were crossing a bridge over a deep river. Sadly, at that very point, the ropes that held the donkey gave way, and down into the river he tumbled. Unhurt, the donkey swam to shore and ran away as fast as he could. Now, with the donkey gone, the discouraged farmer and his son set out for home. By trying to please everybody, they had pleased nobody, and lost their donkey too. The moral of this story is, if you try to please everybody, you will never please anybody. Here is another Aesop's fable for children. Let's take a listen to the story of the North Wind and the Sun. One day the North Wind and the Sun found themselves in a friendly disagreement over who was stronger, but neither one could convince the other. Finally, they decided to settle the matter in an unusual way. "See that traveler down below?" said the North Wind, pointing to a man walking along a winding road. The man was wearing a coat that was wrapped snugly around him. "Let's see who can make him take off his coat. Whoever succeeds in doing so is the stronger." Well, the Sun agreed and disappeared behind a cloud. Then the North Wind began to blow, unleashing a furious gust that made the man's coat flap wildly. The North Wind howled and roared, sending leaves flying and branches swaying about. But the harder he tried to tear off the coat, the tighter the man pulled it around him, gripping it with both hands to keep it from being torn away. Finally, the north wind gave up. "Go ahead. You try it." Smiling, the sun came out from behind the cloud and took his turn. First, he shone down gently, pouring his warm rays on the traveler. The man, feeling more comfortable, let go of his grip on the coat and let it hang loosely around his shoulders. Then the sun shone brighter, filling the air with a pleasant warmth. Before long, the man decided to take off his coat entirely, saying, "How warm it has become!" He carried it over his arm as he continued on his journey. The sun turned to the north wind with a smile. "You see, my friend," he said, "gentle persuasion works far better than force." The moral of this story is, kindness and gentle persuasion achieve far more than force and brute strength. This story is another fable by Aesop. Close your eyes and let's listen to the story of the young crab and his mother. "Why in the world do you walk sideways like that?" said Mama Crab to her son. "You should always walk straight forward with your toes turned out." "Show me how to walk, Mother," answered the little crab obediently. "I want to learn." So Mama Crab tried and tried to walk straight forward, but she could only walk sideways like her son. And when she wanted to walk with her toes turned out, like she had told her son to do, she tripped and fell right on her nose. The moral of this story is, do not tell others how to act unless you can set a good example. Now let's listen to this fable by Aesop. It's about the dog and her bone. Abby the dog was happily trotting home. It wasn't every day that the butcher gave her a big, juicy bone with meat on it. She carried it very tightly in her mouth so she wouldn't lose it. On her way home, she had to cross a stream on a narrow footbridge. As she crossed the bridge, she glanced down into the clear water below, and to her surprise, she saw another dog under the water. To Abby, it looked like that other dog was holding a bone in her mouth, too. And it also seemed to Abby that the other dog's bone was much bigger than hers. With a growl, she dropped her bone in order to grab the other dog's bone. But she had no sooner dropped her bone than the other dog dropped her bone, too. She leapt at the other dog, only to find herself splashing into the water. Panic set in as she struggled to swim to the edge of the stream. She finally scrambled out of the water, all soaked and with nothing to show for her effort. Standing there, Abby realized how foolish and greedy she had been to drop her real bone for something that wasn't even there. Now all she knew was that she had lost her bone and that she had to go home without it. The moral of this story is, be grateful for what you have. If you try to grasp for more, you might lose everything. Now let's listen to a fable enjoyed by children everywhere. It's the story of the Crow and the Pitcher, a fable by Aesop. One hot summer day long ago, a crow flew over the dry land looking for water. She was thirsty, and her throat was very dry. Just as she was about to give up her search, she saw a water pitcher on the ground under a tree. Hopeful, the crow flew down and looked into the pitcher. There was water. But oh dear, the pitcher had a long, thin neck, and she saw that the water inside was just out of her reach. The crow tried tilting the pitcher, but it was too heavy. She then tried sticking her beak in as far as it would go, but the water was still out of reach. Frustrated and getting thirstier, she nearly gave up. Then, looking around, the crow saw some small pebbles scattered on the ground. Picking up one in her beak, she dropped it into the pitcher. Plop! The crow saw the water rise a little bit. She thought. She then picked up another pebble and dropped that one in too. Plop! Again, the water climbed a little bit higher. Over and over, the crow dropped pebbles into the water until the water was within her reach. With a happy caw, she drank deeply, thoroughly quenching her thirst. Refreshed, the crow flew home, satisfied and all the wiser. The moral of this story is, don't ever give up. Where there's a will, there is a way. I think you're going to enjoy this Aesop's fable about the farm girl and her pail. One morning, a young farm girl was walking to the house from the barn where she had been milking the cows. She was balancing a full pail of fresh milk on her head. The sun was shining, the birds were singing, and because she was enjoying her short walk, she began daydreaming. With this milk, she thought, I'll be able to make the very best butter. Then I'll take my butter to the market and sell it for a good price. And with that money, I'll buy a dozen eggs, and soon they'll hatch into chicks. The chicks will then grow into hens, and before long, I'll have a very nice flock of chickens. Her excitement grew as she imagined even more of her future. Once I sell some of the chickens, I'll have enough money to buy a beautiful dress, something truly elegant. I'll wear it to the dance, and all the young men there will admire how beautiful I look. But when they try to talk to me, I'll simply toss my head and walk away. They'll be absolutely speechless. Caught up in her daydream as she walked, the farm girl then tossed her head for real, just as she had imagined, and the pail fell right off her head, spilling her fresh milk all over the ground. She stared sadly at the mess at her feet. Her butter, her eggs, her chicks, her hens, her beautiful dress, the speechless young men. All of her wonderful dreams were gone with the spilled milk. The moral of this story is, don't count your chickens before they hatch. Do what you need to do today before planning for tomorrow.